Educational Communications and this station present Environmental Directions with Nancy Pearlman. On this series, we explore the effects of human influence on the Earth's ecosystems and discuss solutions to environmental problems which affect the quality of life on this planet. Environmental Directions gives you the kind of information you need to help you participate in decisions impacting your community, the nation, and the world. Now, here's your host, Nancy Pearlman.
Hello. We're going to be talking about empowering communities to take climate action with my guest, Josh Fryday. He is the California Chief Service Officer with the California Volunteers in the office of the Governor of California. He has formerly been a mayor of Novato, California. He has served as president of Golden State Opportunity, leading the expansion and implementation of the California Earned Income Tax Credit, and he has also been the chief operating officer for Next Gen Climate, a leading national organization focused on climate change. Prior to that, he served in the military as an officer in the United States Navy as a member of the Judge Advocate General's Corps. He currently serves as a member of the Board of Trustees for DEMOS, a national think tank focused on issues of economic, racial, and political inequality, and is a founding board member of Amazon Frontlines, a leading organization to protect indigenous communities and territories in the Amazon. Welcome. It's a pleasure to have you with us.
It's so wonderful to be with you. Thank you.
We all know that there's a serious climate problem. 2 years ago, the state of California launched something called the California Climate Action Corps, the country's first state-level program dedicated to fighting climate change. What will that really do?
We, as you said, know that we're living in a crisis, an existential crisis, and Californians are facing this every day. We're seeing it with our wildfires, our droughts, our atmospheric rivers, this extreme weather that all of us are facing. And Governor Newsom has made it clear that California is going to continue to lead on bold climate policy, which is incredibly important, and we're doing that. But we also feel very strongly that if we're really going to tackle this issue and if we're really going to protect our communities, we have to mobilize what we think is really California's biggest asset, which is the 40 million people that call California home. So the Climate Action Corps is a brand new program designed to empower people across the state and give people the opportunity to really take meaningful climate action, to be part of the solution, and to feel empowered and send the message that even though this is an existential crisis, we are not powerless, and there is something for every single one of us to do to make a difference.
Even though you advocate everybody to get engaged, be a volunteer, work on education, service projects, and other activities, your program also provides fellowships, and I find that most interesting because they can actually make some money.
That's right. What we like to say with the California Climate Action Corps, that whether you have an hour to give or you have a year to give, there's something meaningful for you to do. And for those who have a year to give and want to take climate action and focus on this for a long period of time and do a structured service program, we've created the Climate Action Corps Fellowship, which provides for those who commit to almost a year of service as a climate organizer working in our frontline communities throughout the state of California. You will receive a $30,000 stipend to help you live, as well as a $10,000 scholarship to either help you pay for school in the future or pay down your debt if you've already graduated college. We're really providing economic incentives with the fellowship and economic opportunity for people to take climate action and to be empowered and to help engage communities, and it's one of the things that we're most proud of.
In addition to that $30,000 for serving 1,700 hours, they can qualify for $10,000 in education awards to either pay down their student debt or use towards college. You also have fellows in a summer program that can serve 2 months and earn $5,300 for 300 hours of service plus $1,300 for education. How many fellows are there taking advantage of this?
Since we've launched the program a little over 2 years ago, we've had hundreds of fellows across the state take part in this program, and the state continues to invest and wants to expand the number of opportunities that we're providing for people to take climate action and take part in the fellowship. So we currently have hundreds of opportunities open where we're asking people to apply. That's why we're launching a big recruitment effort. And for anyone who wants to take climate action and wants to get paid for it and receive a scholarship for college, we're asking everyone to go to CAClimateActionCorps.ca.gov to sign up and become a fellow. And what we've seen is just a huge demand. There's a real thirst out there, especially in California, where people want to take action. They want to feel like they can do something positive around this issue that can feel so overwhelming. And so we've seen just an enormous amount of interest and amount of people apply for these positions, and we're going to keep working to expand the opportunities and keep growing the program in the coming years.
Is there an age limit?
There is no age limit. We welcome anyone who wants to make a difference and wants to organize around climate in their community.
Even retired seniors?
Even retired seniors could apply, absolutely.
What are some of the programs? I know you're focusing on greening our urban environment. We need to plant more trees, have more parks. There's also the issue of waste, organic waste and edible food recovery. And, of course, we need to protect our wildlife. That's quite a variety of programs. Can you give us some specifics?
The California Climate Action Corps is really focused in areas where, one, it's meaningful, it's actually going to help us fight this climate crisis and protect our communities, and two, where people can do something. People can actually make a difference. They can take action. So we focus on three areas. One is around urban greening, which is everything from tree planting to planting community gardens in ways that protect our communities, especially in our low-income communities that have too long been underinvested when it comes to greening, and as a result have created heat islands as this climate crisis continues. But we've also focusing around edible food recovery with our organic waste. One of the things that we've learned, and we learned this in our process of due diligence when we were deciding to create the Climate Action Corps, was that a big contributor to greenhouse gases is food from our tables, food from our everyday living that ends up in a landfill, ends up becoming greenhouse gas emissions. So we're really focused a lot on composting, on education around how people can compost to make sure this material doesn't end up in the landfill, but also how do we make sure that we're diverting the food that can continue to contribute to climate change? How do we get that food to the people who actually need it the most? So it's really a win-win project for us. And then, of course, in California, everyone understands the threats around wildfires. So we're really working with communities around home hardening, around protecting defensible space, clearing defensible space, and helping communities protect themselves from wildfires as this crisis continues.
I mentioned wildlife, and it's so important that we protect our natural ecosystems and natural areas so that wildlife isn't suffering from the climate change, which is happening. They're going either higher up into the mountains, the ocean animals are suffering. How do people get involved in helping our wildlife and our ecosystems when they are concerned about climate change?
I think with climate change, we're recognizing more and more what is the obvious, which is that we're all connected. We're all connected as people, we're all connected as communities, and we're also connected to our natural surroundings and to all of the other life that makes up the natural beauty, especially here in California. When we ask people to take action by either planting trees or protecting forests from wildfire or by composting to make sure that food doesn't end up in a landfill and further contribute to climate change, what we're really saying is we need you to protect your community. We need you to protect the nature around us. We need you to protect all the animals and really all the people of our state.
Obviously, your professional career is helping to mobilize communities and volunteers here in California, and yet you volunteer as a board member for Amazon Frontiers, which is trying to help the indigenous communities and territories in the Amazon, which includes many countries. Why should we here in California be concerned about what's happening in South America?
Because we're all connected. What happens in South America with protecting the Amazon absolutely impacts every single one of us. The Amazon has been referred to as the lungs of our planet. And if we're going to protect our own lungs, then we have to protect the Amazon. It's incredibly important to make sure that our communities here at home are safe. And one of the things we've learned, and I've learned through my own personal experiences in traveling to the Amazon and also traveling around the state of California is how important it is to learn from indigenous communities and indigenous peoples who have literally been protecting our planet and our earth for thousands of years. And it's one of the reasons that I'm so proud this year that our Climate Corps is supporting 2 tribal communities in California where we have climate action fellows that are working with one tribe in San Diego, for instance, that is reintroducing cultural burnings as a way of land management and protecting the forest. These are cultural burnings that have been happening for thousands of years, but have in many ways been lost over the last 100 years as people were torn from their communities and torn from their land. And now with our Climate Corps working directly side by side with the tribe and the indigenous people, they're reintroducing this practice. They're also building a community garden that's providing free vegetables to all tribal members.
You are also a member of the Board of Trustees for DEMOS, which is focusing on economic, racial, and political inequality. I remember when I first started doing environmental work with the first Earth Day in 1970 through the 70s, it was always environment versus economy. But I think times have changed. Aren't we seeing the interrelationship of racial issues, social justice issues, economic issues? I'm finding that businesses all seem to want to claim that they're sustainable and doing something for the climate. What have you seen as a change in terms of incorporating these other political and social issues with the environmental costs?
Times most certainly have changed. It should have always been obvious, but environmental justice and racial justice go hand in hand, as does it go hand in hand with economic justice. Just to give one example, one of the most inspiring things I've heard is from one of our Climate Action Corps fellows. Her name's Amaya. She grew up in Compton, California, and she's now in her second year as a Climate Action Corps fellow. And she joined the program because she wanted to learn the skills and the knowledge around sustainability so that she could bring it back to her community where she grew up and pass that knowledge on and empower her community. And that's the exact kind of work that we want to be doing and we need to be doing, because these issues, racial justice, environmental justice, economic justice, they are all intertwined. They can no longer be separated. And we're making sure that we're being very intentional about this.
You have also served as Chief Operating Officer for Next Gen Climate, and that's a nonprofit organization working on climate change. Now you're working in government working on climate change. How much interaction is there between all the new organizations caring about climate change plus the governmental agencies? Are they working together?
We see a lot of collaboration. I think we're in a moment right now where everyone understands with this crisis facing us, it is an all-hands-on-deck moment. For instance, with our Climate Action Corps in Southern California, we're working with 42 different nonprofits that are focused on climate change and focused on serving communities. We're working with hundreds of nonprofits across the state of California.
I am so thrilled that the state of California has recognized that it's so important for the government to help communities deal with this climate change issue, and that you're doing some great work in that area. I want to thank you very much for making it all happen. Thank you for being my guest.
Thank you. Really a pleasure.
I have been speaking with Josh Fryday, who is the California Chief Service Officer with the California Volunteers in the Office of the Governor for the state of California. I'm Nancy Pearlman. Thank you very much for joining us, and do tune in again next week.
If you would like free information about these environmental issues, go to www.ecoprojects.org or call 310-559-9160. Environmental Directions with your host, Nancy Pearlman, is a community affairs program of the nonprofit organization Educational Communications and this station.